think, Pollock, was this going to be this bad when you were, I guess, monitoring him last week?
Short answer, no, because we were very careful with what we were doing with Polly over the last month, to be honest. So, but we thought it was more, a management one that it would come good with a little bit of time. But the investigation that we've now done, clearly, which we were really diligent on, was to make sure that the long-term future of Polly was the one we looked after the most. And so we did what we needed to, and we've made the decision we have to do now to have Jared Pollock in the best shape for the next 10 years, not just for the next 10 weeks.
So do you have previous scans, Ken, apart from this week?
No, he's had some scans, but nothing that's shown up as much as this week. So we've taken it to, obviously, other places this week. We've gone to all over the world, basically, and Melbourne and Sydney as well, to get him checked out. And the information we've now been able to get back with the detail that we've gone to is one that says you don't take a risk here, and we're not going to.
So do you mean you've sent his scans around the place?
No,
physically took him?
We sent Jared to Melbourne and Sydney with our medical people just to get it all checked out as thoroughly as we possibly could. And, with the injury that we're talking about, we're just not going to take a risk.
So showing up a little stress fracture, was that, was the weekend's quarter that he played, was that sort of like the straw that...
No, it was obviously been there for a period of time. And what you do is you manage it by pain initially and you see what's going on. And then by the end of it, you say, well, this is just not clearing up. It's not behaving the way we thought it was going to behave. And so then we make the decision to further investigate, as you should, to make sure that, because the selfish thing to do would be to just keep rolling him out there because he was still performing okay. But that's not the way we operate. It's the way we want to look after player welfare first, and we have to do that.
And the only way to recover isn't just to do nothing, is that right?
Yep, pretty much. It's a 6 weeks in the moon boot and see how it goes. And then, we won't take any risks at all. If it comes back in 6 weeks' time that he's still got some issues there, if it meant we'll put him out for longer, we'll put him out for longer. It's too risky. We've all been around and seen those injuries turn into, sometimes they turn into a long term for a year or two. We don't want that to be the case.
And that must be worrying for you. I think it's a similar injury to what Jack Trengo's is. It's kept him out of footy for a long time.
Again, I don't know what Jack's had or not had, so obviously it's somewhere in the similar area, but I don't know the severity of his injury to what Jared's. Our intervention is to hopefully prevent it being a long-term injury, and that's why we're doing what we're doing.
So has anyone sort of looked at, you don't know if it's exactly the same, but has anyone sort of looked at the way that his was treated and trying to learn lessons in terms of how that was treated?
Oh, look, our medical staff will do an outstanding job of treating him, and they'll get all the information. We're lucky. We've got, as I said, we've got Virgo and Mark Fisher that have contacts all over the world that we can actually use to make sure we're doing the best treatment we possibly can, and that's what we'll do.
What sort of player do you need to replace him with?
He's a pretty talented player, Jared Pollock, so we'd like to think we can bring in someone that's got similar sorts of skills that he brings to the team, and but you're never going to replace exactly like for like. You lose an Ollie, you lose a Robbie, a Pollock. They're the sort of players that you don't replace like for like. You bring in best form, hopefully, and players ready to play.
Well, I think we were saying after the game on the weekend, that you guys have got plenty of talent outside of the sort of what's been the best 22. So you're pretty confident that there's players out there to be able to just quickly bring someone in and do...
Yeah. One more time I'll say, you're not one player away. You can't be. And we're not. We've got plenty of depth playing, and the Magpies got some really good players down there playing football, so we just give one of them the opportunity to play.
Ken, I think you've got a pretty bad recent record of coming out of showdowns. I think you've won 1 out of the last 8. Is that something...
That's a bad record, isn't it?
Yeah. Is that something you've addressed or spoken about or mentioned to the boys to try and make sure there's no letdown?
No, not really. We prepare every week to play our best footy, and now, some weeks you don't come out and play the way we don't. Hopefully, it's not a showdown letdown. It's hopefully it's just for us. It's just a normal week, and we train well today, and we prepare well, and we come out and play well. So we certainly don't talk about that.
How's Ollie Wines going as well? Is he any chance at all of playing this week?
No, not this week. No, he's a small chance for the week after, and if he doesn't play Brisbane, he'll definitely be available for the one after that.
Can I ask you about Paddy Ryder, because you spoke the other day, and he's delivering what you expected, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's been a significant part of the team early, and ideally for us, we would have had him and Lobes playing together for the 5 weeks, but we haven't had. But for the last couple of weeks, they've been pretty impressive together. And it's not just one or the other. It's not just Paddy. It's not just Lobes. It's the combination of the two that hopefully gets the job done. And we've seen that again on the weekend. That they have different strengths, and that helps the team. So Paddy's been filling his role pretty well so far.
Was it difficult to deal with the whole Essendon thing at the time? Now it's gone, of course, but at the time, was it difficult?
was what it was, I suppose. No, not really, not for us. I mean, we were removed from it. Clearly there was some waiting that we had to do, and that's all we had to do was wait. You know, and in the end it's gone, it's moved on, and we're very happy that it has.
The other guy I wanted to ask you about was Brad Ebert, because he's always terrific. He's so consistent, and now he's coming up against his old club. How are you reading his form line?
Oh, Brad's been really strong, you know. But again, like a member of the whole midfield group, they work together, and they've been able to get our season on track together as a group. And you know, Brad's one part of that. He's really consistent, but Brad's always really consistent about the way he goes about it. And you know, he came up against his, as you said, his old club, but it's been a long time now. So it's Brad's. I'm sure Brad just thinks of Port Adelaide as his club now, and you know, he's passed as he's passed.
What sort of work have you done to, I guess, negate those massive inside 50 numbers that you've been unhappy with?
I think the first thing you've got to do is you've got to identify it and come up with what we think is absolutely going wrong. And for us, we know it's, you know, it's allowing the ball to come out of stoppage a bit easy at times, and you know, and then our transition hasn't been where we want it to be. So we certainly make a real focus on it. We understand how potent the West Coast Eagles forward line is, because if you look at their numbers, they're number one for scores in. You know, we're going inside their forward 50 in goals as well. So if we give them that many entries, I'm sure we're trying to defend an awfully big score, and we don't want to have to do that. So we have to fix it this week.
Is the inside 50 statistic, is that becoming less important? Because we see discrepancies a lot now, and maybe it's more about the quality. I don't know, you tell me.
Someone's trying to ring. Sorry, the quality, yeah, well, clearly the last 2 weeks it hasn't been about the number, but I reckon if you run the riffs that we're running, it'll eventually be about the number, and you won't be able to withstand that. You know, we've been able to defend the last 2 weeks really strongly with our back six, but we don't want to do that, and I'm sure you can't play that way all the time.
What about contested ball? You were saying, you know, that much more emphasis, you guys place much more emphasis on hard ball than we tend to place on sort of the outside run. So how you sort of...
Oh, and I don't think anyone places... You don't place any less or any more than we do, but we understand that it's one part of the game that you have to be pretty strong in. Like entries, you can actually still win if you lose it, but it's not something you want to practice doing, is losing those key stats. You want to make sure that you're focusing on improving those stats, and you know that will only make you better in all those areas. The key stats they are still the key stats, so you need to make sure you're on top of them.
But you do need to improve in that area, do you think, this weekend?
I think we're always looking to improve, and you know, we've had 3 weeks we've been reasonably solid in those areas, but last week we dropped off a little bit against a side that was really hungry in that space. We weren't able to match them in that space last week. I'm sure we'll certainly focus ourselves today and hopefully come back and be better.
Oh, fantastic. What, have you got any
Red Cross.
Red Cross words of wisdom?
Yeah, well, we know it's a significant part of the community that the blood donation stuff is something that we really do survive off, and there's some people that you know, make an enormous difference. The public get an opportunity to make an enormous difference, and today's one of those days where we want to bring a little bit of attention to the Red Cross and make sure that everyone out there is doing their absolute best to donate some blood to help people in all sorts of life. So we've got some conversations about to happen here with Lisa Stewart, who's been through her own trials, and I'll let her talk about that. But for the public, just jump on board with Red Cross. I think it's really significant for us to add our support to it.
Brilliant.
Beautiful. Thanks, Ken.